Welcome to Cloud-Based Bedtime Stories with Aaron Wanjala. You made it through the day. Get comfortable, close your eyes, and let tonight's story find you. Nothing is paging. We can just read. Tonight, we journey into the quiet, structured world of Firestore. Imagine a vast, peaceful archive where every piece of information is a handwritten scroll, resting safely in its own designated drawer, waiting to be read or updated in the blink of an eye. Let the rain fall outside as we explore the simple elegance of documents, collections, and the silent watchers who keep vigil over them. Chapter 1. The Quiet Archive. Deep in a valley where the winds are always soft and the night is always still, there stands a library. It is not made of towering, imposing stone, nor does it have heavy iron gates. Instead, it is built of warm timber and smooth plaster, smelling of cedarwood, beeswax, and dried lavender. The keepers of this library call it the Archive of the Valley, but those who write the applications of the world know it as Firestore. In many old libraries, information is kept in massive, rigid ledgers. These ledgers have fixed rows and columns carved into the paper before any ink is even spilt. If a scribe wishes to write down a new detail, but there is no pre-drawn column for it, they must rebuild the entire ledger from scratch. But here, in the quiet archive of Firestore, we do things differently. We use individual sheets of heavy, cream-colored parchment. We call each sheet a document. A document is a simple thing. It is a light, flexible page that holds whatever details you wish to write upon it. There are no pre-carved grids. If one page needs to hold a traveler's name, their age, and their hometown, the scribe simply writes those details down. If the next page needs only a name and a favorite color, that is perfectly fine too. The pages do not mind their differences. They rest side by side in perfect harmony. Chapter 2. The Shelves and the Sheets. To keep these documents from wandering, they are placed onto shelves. In our archive, we call these shelves collections. Imagine a shelf labeled Travelers. Every document placed upon this shelf represents a single person who has visited our valley. Each document has its own unique name tag, a quiet identifier that lets the scribe find it instantly, even in the middle of a dark night. When you pull a document from the Traveler's shelf, you see the information written in clear, simple pairs. On the left side of the page is the name of the detail, and on the right side is the value. Name, Julian. Home, the Whispering Woods. Journeys, 12. Active, true. These are the fields of our document. Some fields are simple words, some are numbers, and some are simple decisions of truth, like whether the traveler is currently active or asleep. Because Firestore is a NoSQL archive, the document is incredibly gentle with its structure. It does not demand that every sheet on the traveler's shelf look identical. If Julian's sheet has a list of his favorite tea blends, but the next sheet for a traveler named Clara does not, the shelf accepts them both without question. Each document can hold up to 1 megabyte of written ink. That may sound small, but in the language of the scribes, a single megabyte can hold a vast forest of words, numbers, and quiet truths. Chapter 3. Rooms within rooms. Sometimes, a single sheet of parchment is not enough to hold the depth of a story. A traveler might have many journals, or a list of specific gear they carry on each of their 12 journeys. Rather than cluttering the main page with too many scribbles, the archive allows us to create rooms within rooms, or shelves within sheets. We call these sub-collections. Imagine Julian's document resting on the main shelf. Attached to the bottom of his parchment is a tiny, delicate key. If you turn this key, a drawer opens directly beneath his page. Inside this drawer is a new, smaller shelf, dedicated entirely to Julian's journeys. On this sub-collection shelf, we might find individual documents for each trip he took. One sheet for his journey to the Blue Mountains. One sheet for his walk through the Valley of Ferns. This nesting can go deep, up to 100 levels into the quiet earth of the archive. Yet, no matter how deep you go, the path remains clear and easy to follow. A scribe can walk straight to any document, no matter how nested, simply by reading the path of keys on the drawers. Chapter 4. The Silent Watchers. In traditional libraries, if a scholar wants to know if a scroll has been updated, they must get up from their desk, walk across the cold stone floor, pull the scroll, read it, and walk back. They must do this hour after hour, day after day. But in the Firestore archive, we have the Silent Watchers. A watcher is a person who sits in a comfortable armchair near a specific shelf or document. They do not need to constantly walk back and forth. Instead, they attach a tiny silver thread from the document to a small brass chime resting beside their teacup. When a scribe far away dips their quill into the ink and changes a single word on that document, the silver thread vibrates. The little brass chime gives a single, soft ring. The watcher opens their eyes, looks at the chime, and instantly knows the document has changed. They receive the update in real time, without ever having to ask. This real-time notification is one of the most beautiful secrets of the archive. It allows the applications of the world to stay in perfect sync, quietly whispering updates to one another across vast distances, as gently as a breeze passing through the leaves of an olive tree. Chapter 5. The Expanding Walls. As the years pass, more travelers arrive in the valley. More scribes sit down to write, and more documents are slipped onto the shelves. In a physical library, this would eventually cause worry. The shelves would bend under the weight of the paper. The walls would feel crowded. The scribes would have to build extensions, mixing mortar, and carrying heavy stones in the heat of the day. But the archive of Firestore is serverless. Its walls are not made of rigid brick. They are made of a quiet, breathing light. When 1,000 new scrolls arrive at once, the walls simply drift outward, making room for new shelves and new drawers. The scribes do not have to pause their writing. They do not have to manage the space, nor do they need to worry about the foundations of the building. Whether there are 10 documents in the archive or 10 billion, the library performs with the same effortless grace. A search for a single document on a shelf with millions of sheets takes no longer than a search on a shelf with only 3. The library scales automatically, quietly keeping its promise of speed and rest. Chapter 6. Writing in Harmony. Sometimes, many scribes need to write to the archive at the very same time. One might be updating Julian's journey, while another is adding a new traveler to the shelf, and a third is correcting a spelling mistake on a map. To prevent the ink from smudging, or the records from contradicting one another, The archive uses transactions. A transaction is like a small, protective lantern that a scribe places over a group of documents while they work. Inside the light of this lantern, all the changes are prepared in quiet contemplation. Either every single change is written down perfectly, or if something interrupts the scribe's hand, none of them are written at all, leaving the parchment clean and dry. This ensures that the archive never holds half-written truths. Everything is kept consistent, reliable, and whole. And so, the archive rests. The ink dries on the parchment. The silent watchers listen for the soft chime of updates. The walls expand to hold the memories of the world, and the scribes lay down their quills for the night. That's all for this journey through the cloud. Wherever your clusters reside tonight, may they remain stable, resilient, and peaceful. Until next time, sleep tight until you have to serve your next request.